someday we're going to be at events because we're planning them and it's almost all scheduled, and hopefully I'll get to see you all soon. But thank you so much for being here tonight. And we're very excited about our speakers, and we've already taken some time. So I'm going to turn it right over to
okay, thank
Amy?
you, Joe.
Yeah.
I noticed not everybody's over 50 though.
Do I have to go?
I
No, you
beg
don't have
your
to go.
pardon.
Oh,
Thank
Because you
no.
all look so young.
Thank you.
Kendra, I think you might need to leave.
Deb, thank you for the compliment, but I am 61. No.
Okay, so
I'll be
Amy,
there soon. Okay.
Amy is here. Amy Favreau, Favreau, is that
Favreau,
correct?
yeah.
And she is going to introduce our first speaker here tonight. Go ahead, Amy.
Hi, guys. As Deb said, I'm Amy Favreau, owner of Caring Transitions of Greater Portland, and also a silver sponsor for the Maine Senior Games. I am currently serving on the Wellness Committee, hoping that I'm going to be able to make a difference here. Tonight, I am so honored to introduce my very good friend and mentor, Kendra Jarrett. She will be presenting first to us tonight. Kendra is a certified personal trainer, nutrition coach, and behavioral change specialist through the National Academy of Sports Medicine. So we want to welcome you, Kendra. I'm so excited to have you here tonight presenting.
Thank you, Amy. I am so glad to be here. I would do anything for you, anything at all. Thank you so much. So I'm dialing in, you guys, I live in Portland, Maine. I'm dialing in from St. Louis, Missouri tonight, where there is a classic Midwestern storm here happening. So if I cut out or lose you, I got swept up in a tornado. Don't worry about me though. It's fine. Yeah.
Yikes.
So this is a really awesome opportunity for me. I grew up in Portland, Brunswick, Maine. Actually, my parents still live there. I am 47 years old. I have a 20-year-old son, and I work with mostly people, and often women, because we're the sort of the classic dieters, but over 40. My clients range from 35 to my oldest is a 73-year-old triathlete. So in my head, in my life, I've seen, like at this point at 47, I know it's not, probably feels like a spring chicken. I see a lot of possibilities across all of these ages. That's inspiring to me. That you can age well, that you can stay strong, that you can even get leaner. My 73-year-old client is still changing her body composition. She's riding her bike, she's running, she's slower, but it's like, I see a lot of possibility, and that Amy and I will sit, I'm sure she shares that, like, it's very hopeful that to know that even as I age, I could still be interested as you guys are in, like, of course, I'm interested in feeling good. I'm interested in being able to move my body. So the things I wanted to talk about tonight, if I could have talked about anything to any age, is the biggest mistake I see people making as they age is a lack of protein in their diet. So when I thought about, like, what would I do with 10 or 15 minutes with this group, it would be that you would leave here understanding that the importance of protein. And then the second thing would be that you left here understanding the importance of lifting weights. So my father is 78. He and I lift weights together via Zoom. He sees a personal trainer, and just helping him with balance and agility. And, it's difficult to build bone if you haven't been, eating a lot of protein and lifting weights for several years, especially over 50. But it's not impossible, and it's really, really important. So I wanted to also make this interactive because I don't really need to talk at you. You may have some questions for me, and I want to make sure I'm not just, telling you things you already know or things that you don't care about. So is there a chat here? There is. Okay.
There is, yeah.
Okay. So if you please, you can chat your questions if you know how to do that, and I'm happy to answer them. But who here believes that you get enough protein?
Not enough, but I strive to get a lot, but I'm probably not getting enough.
Right. And Amy knows this. When Amy started with me, Amy thought she was getting a lot of protein. And I think, like, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was something like 70% of your diet was actually fat. It was like good fat, almonds, avocado, but it was high fat.
Yep.
So with Amy, we shifted her diet to high protein and lowered the fat, but still kept it, like, she has fat in her diet. But we switched some things around in her body. That was a pretty dramatic transformation you had early on.
Yeah. It was very eye-opening.
And eye-opening. Yeah.
Just the nutrition, how
Right.
important it was in conjunction with strength training and whatnot.
Right. So I wanted to give you, right. And Cynthia was saying, you probably get enough. That's what my mother says to me, like, oh, I get enough. But when I really look, most people are getting like a fraction of what they need. Does anybody understand, like, do you understand if I said you all should be getting, at least 100 grams of protein a day? Would that even make sense?
Yeah, to me,
Yes.
to me it would, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Who would say, no, I don't get that. That doesn't.
I'm sure there's some people that probably don't understand like how that looks, maybe. I don't know.
What that looks like. Okay.
Because I didn't until you explained it to me. I didn't really get a good grasp on it.
All right. So I'm going to give you an example. I just kind of want to lay this out for the food part. Because when we're talking about somebody's overall health, we're talking about two things, really. We're talking about our food intake. So what do I consume every day? And then my exercise. What energy do I expend every day? So when you eat, you're taking in energy through that food. And when you exercise, you're, outputting energy through your movement. So who eats breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
I do. I track it. I track everything.
Where
I
do
do.
you track it, Cynthia?
I use Lose It. It's an app.
Okay.
Lose It. It's awesome. Yep.
You're with it. Okay. So there's an app that I use too. I should send you guys a link. Do I have the link? Maybe we can provide that after. So
Yep.
if you wanted to track your food, anybody, you can track your food through an app and I can see it. And then I can give you feedback, which is cool. It's like $5 a month, something like that. It's dirt cheap. And I will get that to you later. But if you're not, here's a great example of, well, then Cynthia, do you know how many calories you eat in a day? I'm just curious.
I do about $12.95 per day.
About $12.95, huh?
Hey, some days are better than others.
Chai lattes.
Right. An average. Okay. So
Not 13.
right. So here's the best way for you to start hitting protein. And not everyone's tracking like Cynthia. Not everyone needs to. I understand that. But if you sort of think breakfast, lunch, and dinner, does anybody skip breakfast? Just not interested? Elaine, okay. Was that like kind of sometimes, unless it's like Sunday brunch or something? Yeah, okay. So as you know, breakfast is super important. So making sure you have protein with every single meal is a great way to get that protein up. And a lot of people don't think about it. You may start out like my mother would start out thinking, I'm just going to eat as little as I can all day. And then sort of out come the Cheez-Its That was her thing. Like, Cheez-Its, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
But like you've used all your willpower. It's all gone. And then out comes the, snacky type foods. So if you think about it, if you bring some of those calories to the beginning of the day when you need them for brain function, mood, hormone balance, start thinking of like, oh, that makes sense, right? Like when you have children, you feed them, you don't send them to school and they go to eat breakfast and you say, no, we don't eat until too late. And then we're just going to kind of binge at 3 o'clock. Okay. Like somewhere along the way, we develop this habit. So with my clients, I'm always trying to get them to bring that food forward during the day where you can use it. So breakfast would be something like, my mother, for example, would just have like fruit, right? Well, that's just sugar and fructose. For us, our bodies over 40, especially the postmenopausal woman, fructose, even fruit sugar, can have not a great impact on the body. So if you're just eating fruit all day without protein, you want those two to work together. You want protein and carbohydrates to work together. So, and they do. So if you're somebody who just has fruit, add an egg, add some egg whites, even some turkey bacon. And I can send Amy to like a meal plan and a food list. That's something you can kind of think about adopting. So fruit, eggs, whole grain toast, things like sweet potato, mash, sweet potato cakes. There's a lot of different recipes you can do to get in like really good whole foods. Lunch, same thing. What's a typical lunch for you? Anybody?
Greek yogurt.
Greek yogurt for me. Yep.
I have every day I have a little protein pack. It's got a few like for example, my favorite, the cashews,
Okay.
turkey and cheese, the protein pack. That's what I have.
Okay. So that's your lunch.
And a protein shake. I'm sorry, I forgot. And a protein shake. That's my lunch.
So you're all about the protein. Right. Who else? What's a lunch?
Greek yogurt.
Okay, Greek yogurt. All right.
Vegetable soup.
Jerry, what's your lunch?
Vegetable soup. My wife makes soup. Yeah, vegetable soup.
Jerry, is there protein in vegetable soup?
Depends what she puts in it.
Right. So vegetables don't have any protein. So you would want to think about adding something like a fish or, a chicken breast, or, you can piece things together, throw a hard-boiled egg. And again, I'll send you a list of foods that are proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. You can start to see that. I think that might be helpful. So be thinking protein with your meals. What's a typical dinner?
Meat, potatoes, and a vegetable.
Perfect. Meat and potatoes and a vegetable.
Chicken on salad.
Fish in a salad,
Yeah, fish.
grilled fish or baked fish in a salad.
Okay. Is anybody getting 2 servings of fish a week?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Good. Okay. So that is also really important. So when you start to put together when you start thinking about your diet going forward, and again, I'll send you the list so you can see what protein is. That's not everybody knows what that is. Who can name some of their favorite proteins?
Tuna
Hard-boiled.
fish, cottage cheese,
Cheese.
eggs.
Greek yogurt.
Steak.
We got
Steak.
Greek yogurt and steak.
Rare. Steak.
Chicken.
Rare steak, right? Chicken.
With Apple Card, you get
Rare steak for sure.
Rare steak. Okay.
You got it.
How about steak tartare?
Steak
Yeah, I'll
tartare.
take that.
Is that a common dinner, Elaine?
Tuna steaks.
Tuna steaks, right? Okay. So you know what these are.
Peanut
For
butter.
the most part. So I think the biggest thing I could give you is really focusing on that protein. So let me tell you what protein does. Protein helps with muscle tissue repair. Most of our body is made of protein. Everything except fat really is lean mass, and we need protein to be able to support that. And it's imperative that we have enough, because for you, especially for me, Amy, all of us here on this call, having that muscle on your body at any age and just maintaining that lean muscle helps with posture. It helps build and maintain bone density, because the muscles on your bones, let's say this is your quad, your quadricep, your leg, and these are the muscles around it. The muscles grab onto each other and create tension on that bone. And that tension on the bone is what keeps those bones strong. So as bones get brittle and start to atrophy, meaning they get smaller, you just have less tension naturally on that bone, which is where that sort of, the osteoporosis comes in. And there are different things through lack of nutrients, lack of protein that start that deterioration process. It's happening to all of us anyway, but even as we age, even into 60s and 70s, maintaining that is so key, because otherwise you're just we're aging and it's rapid, and then we're just sort of declining those key and diminishing those key nutrients that are helping with things that are real basic parts of how our body works well. So if you can kind of picture that, all those muscles attaching to your bones, we need those muscles to be strong, and that protein is going to do it for us. Does anybody lift weights?
Yep.
You do? Okay. You do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. All right, so we got a healthy crew here. What am I doing? Why am I here? I'm sorry.
You're going to give us the edge. We're a lot of athletes here, and we're looking for that edge.
Are you? So tell me about that.
Well, like I play basketball. Joe Dill plays basketball. Bonnie plays basketball. Jerry's a runner. Who else we have here?
I play golf.
We got a golfer. Cynthia, what do you do for activity?
I used to be a track coach, but due to injuries, I now power walk.
Okay, power
Okay.
walk.
Yep.
Okay, so for athletes,
Basketball.
so for athletes, this is even more important, right? So this isn't like all right, guys, let's get up off the sofa. It's like, you want to be playing basketball for how long, Deb? Like forever, right?
Yeah. I'd like to get back on the court right now and play for 3 or 4 more years.
With no injuries.
Yeah, with no injuries, no surgery.
Right. Right.
So we need those bones to be strong, and we need the
Right.
muscles to be strong. And that protein is going to be the key there. That is so cool. So Jerry, how far do you run?
I'll go out for an hour and a half and jog and run. When I was working, I'm a volunteer coach at Bowdoin, and when I was able to do there, I'd spend an hour and a half in their fitness room. I do all kinds of core stuff. I do balance. I do some weights. So it's all around.
On soup.
On Jerry on soup.
Imagine Jerry on protein.
Jerry, they'll be like, what?
My wife uses chicken broth or puts meat in it too. So
okay. So
and my breakfast is fruit and a cereal
and an egg now, right?
Yeah,
well,
I have an egg sandwich periodically. Yeah. When I was able to work out at Bowdoin, I'd have it twice a week.
Okay, so Jerry, my dad went
I drink milk.
Oh, you do? Okay, good.
Have oatmeal. I drink milk twice a day. have
Okay.
oatmeal with milk on it, have a toasty or something like that. Yep.
Yeah,
And
okay.
we have for dinners, we have fish or chicken and low fat stuff.
Good, okay. And healthy fats are good too. Who can name some healthy fats? Anybody?
Avocado,
Avocado.
Yep,
just because I just had one or a couple of days ago. It's awesome.
Nuts.
nuts, yep.
Yep.
Um,
Eat nuts every day. Not
Yep,
every day.
olive oil is a good one. Are nuts easy to overeat? Anybody?
Yes, they are
Yeah.
easy to overeat.
They are easy to overeat. So, you know, what Amy learned is like, even you can overeat anything. I mean, good Lord,
Right.
I can overeat anything.
I have dark chocolate.
Yeah, exactly.
Girl Scout cookies.
Right.
There-
Yeah, right. Like I could probably overeat apples and peanut butter. I mean, nothing is safe with me, really. Okay, so we have a group here of athletes who are, who's lifting weights again?
Most of us.
Anything with impact is going to help build that bone. That, like, anything, basketball, any of those like sort of contact sports, you've got a ball, tennis, anything like that. Any resistance training you can do, which means it could be just your body weight. It could be you've added weights, dumbbells, bands. If anybody's done work with bands, any boot camp type classes, those are unbelievable for you. I do workouts live in my Facebook group. I don't know if anybody here would like them.
Okay.
You
They're
are more than welcome to join. You would love them, right, Amy?
They're the best.
They're the best.
They're the best.
They're all levels, but even my older clients that are, my 73-year-old client does them. She modifies them, but they're great. She likes to be engaged with a group of women of a variety of ages too. So I'll send you a link to that. You're welcome to join. Love to have you
Kendra,
there. And I
Great.
talk about nutrition a lot. People are tracking their food through the app, and we love all ranges of ages of active people too. So I think, you know, at the end of the day, when I think about, you know, even where I want to be as I age, where I am now, protein with every meal. And if you're not already, adding in some type of resistance training or strength training, which it sounds like many of you are doing anyway. That will be key. How are you guys feeling? Is anybody feeling down?
I've been through 4 cancers. And
wow.
life
Wow.
is great. Did your father go to Bowdoin?
He did.
Rob,
Rob,
ask him about the zero runner at Bowdoin.
I was trying to interrupt you while you were talking, which is so rude. Zero runner. Okay, but you obviously know Rob.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
missing
He's
out.
an inspiration.
Oh yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. He's definitely struggling right now too, Jerry. With,
Yeah. He's been
yeah.
through a lot.
And Kendra, I know Darlene had her hand up a minute. Darlene is recovering right now from a broken hip, right, Darlene?
Oh,
Yeah.
2 weeks ago today.
2 weeks ago today. So yeah.
How'd you do that?
Stupid. Shoveling.
Oh,
Stupid.
yeah.
Okay, so what's that recovery like?
Well, I just started physical therapy today. I'm going to do it every day, twice a day, and see the guy twice a week. He said 6 to 8 weeks at my age. But otherwise, I'm in great shape. So,
Right,
but these exercises are not easy.
they're
Yeah.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Has
The rest of me's fine except one hip.
Yeah. Does anybody is anybody interested in, or do you all have any resources for weight training or resistance training or anything like that?
Yeah, I have a whole gym. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm at
he
a
said-
gym.
I can't use it, he said.
Yeah.
Kendra,
Yeah.
I would be interested in, I had neck surgery years ago. So I used to lift all the time. I was buff, great shape. After the neck surgery, I was scared because I
Right.
didn't want to lift anything heavy. I had 3 bad discs in my neck.
Yeah.
So I kind of like stepped back, and now I only do 8-pound weights, and I'll do my curls but I don't do anything heavy because I'm afraid. But I would like to get back into a little bit of weightlifting with lower weights. Maybe more resistance, but nothing heavy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you can progress too, and just getting that confidence, but 8 pounds isn't light either. That's not I mean, that's
Right.
that's pretty decent.
Just
you know?
bicep. I just do the bicep curls and some
Yeah.
side things, just something to,
Yeah. So I'm going to give you guys, I'm going to put it right in here. I'll give you my email if you want to chat and you have any questions, and I'm happy to just talk you through anything you want to know in more detail, and
Okay.
happy to just be a resource, just a friend out here. I don't mostly, and Amy knows this, mostly what I do is work with people in my Facebook group in a group setting and educate there. And we do the free live workouts. I don't do one-on-one coaching anymore, but I'm always willing to talk to people like anytime about, I'll even, well, you've got the email address, and just talk about where you're at, what you need. I know I don't have like hours here today, but I'm happy to chat with anyone at any point.
Can
Kendra,
you?
how about walking with light weights?
Yeah, I was just.
Yeah,
gonna-
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. I mean, Jerry, you know, like if you walked, you know, my father has range of motion issues,
Mhm.
but if you walked and did, you know,
Yep.
movements up, it doesn't, you don't have to like get back into the gym and like pick up a bunch of weight. But at this point, anything you can do, even your own body, to keep, it's
Right.
all about mobility. My husband's a chiropractor, and the one thing he tells people is just whatever you do, just keep moving and manage your weight.
Right.
You guys probably know that. Like that's it. There's no, and get enough protein.
If you were to share, if you were to share with us, Kendra, about running versus walking or power walk on the body, what would you say about that? Because I feel really bad that I can't run like I used to. And
No, I mean, if you
No
can
running.
run. But if walking is where you're at, that is a lifelong gift for you to be able to power walk. Like there is so much benefit to walking psychologically, digestion, circulation, like general mental health. It's like, I mean, I'd run until I couldn't run, and then I do a walk every single day. Like I do a daily walk, period.
I walk
Kendra-
2 miles a day, and 3 days a week, 3 miles.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean,
So
even Amy knows I'm trying to get my 35-year-olds to walk now. I want them to start now so that it's just like
natural.
But I just want you to walk until you aren't able to
Drop.
move anymore. Yeah.
Kendra,
Until you
as a volunteer coach at Bowdoin, one of the things I tell the kids is to walk soft. In other words, stay off the roads as much as you can, go on to dirt roads. I go over the golf course and do 4 miles of there, a mile for a good period of time. And it's that pounding that really bothers you. I have too many friends that have done a lot of marathons that can't run anymore.
Like my dad, for example.
Right.
Yeah.
And because what I've gone through, my body's gone through, my running really is very slow now, and I'll either jog and walk. But walking is just as good as running, as long as you're doing a good pace.
I
Excuse me, guys, Kendra, we need to wrap up with you here today, but it's obvious that we have a ton of questions for you. So I think we're going to look at trying to bring you back together with us.
Yeah, I love it.
but I have a second, we have a second presenter here today.
Well, anytime, let me know.
So on behalf of the Maine Senior Games, thank you. Your information is, obviously this group is interested.
Well, you
And
guys inspire me too. I hope to be moving, for many, many years. So thanks for
And-
having me. Thank you, Amy, for asking. I appreciate
Yes.
it.
Thank you.
And I think you'll probably hear from some of us.
Good,
It's
yeah,
fair to say,
anytime.
and we'll get you back here, but thank you so
Okay.
much.
Okay.
Thank you, Kendra. Thank
Okay,
Bye.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Laura.
Thank you.
So don't leave, folks, because we have our second presenter tonight, is from the University of New England. His name is Joe Wolfberg. And Joe, take it away.
Thank you. Good evening, all. Pleasure to be here. I see a familiar face below me, Carol Fournier. Hello, Carol. We've known each other forever. Go back a long ways. So I'm here to talk about we just had a wonderful presentation about the body, mind, and spirit. And I'd like to contribute to that conversation, not talking about food, but talking about a different kind of food, the nutritional food that's important in living a whole life. So I'm part of the Center for Excellence in Aging and Health at the University of New England. And I've been for about 41 years, I've been a community gerontologist, which means I've been studying aging. So when I first started, I was 41, and all of a sudden I'm 82. So I've become one of the people that I studied. And it's fun. I've learned that aging can be a lot of fun if we let go of a lot of the myth and the stereotypes that are attached to aging.
Right.
So in the center in our center, we have several programs I'd like to talk to you about, and just mention that we have a program called Legacy Scholars. So I invite all of you, I know Carol's a Legacy Scholar, but those that aren't, to please, if you're interested, come and investigate what a legacy scholar is. It's a person, an aging person from 55 up, and it's a person who's interested in continuing to discover yourself. So we have some research that you can be involved with. We have program you could do. If you have the so desire, you could come and teach courses, have an opportunity to meet faculty and students. There's a lot, in aging where so easy to get isolated and get, we isolate ourselves sometimes. And this pandemic over this past year has done a wonderful job for us athletes in terms of having to look at, if a gym is closed, what can we do at home to lift weights if we don't have the metal weights? What else can we do? So it's a lot about improvising and being creative. So the first program I'd like to talk about is called Peer Connections. And these programs will start up again in September. And what Peer Connections is about, it's a group of us folks who get together once a week, and we have an opportunity to talk and share about everything and anything. So for example, if you're a gardener and you want to talk about your gardening exploits, you're a traveler, you're a researcher, you're a grandparent, you're a astrologer, you're a writer, you're a painter, you're a dancer, singer, or maybe you're all those things. So it's a Peer Connections. The group gets together once a week. We've been meeting in the past on Tuesdays from 1 to 2, and it's online. We hope to get back again, to be in person once the pandemic passes. And it's just a wonderful way to get together with like folk. We're various ages, both genders, and it's fun. It's a fun opportunity to take your pastime and bring it forth. So, for example, if you're a person who loves to read, it helps to create other connections of people who love to read. And then through selections of books and topics, it's wonderful to just have that connection. That's why we call it Peer Connections. The other piece I'd like to talk to you about is something that I'm involved with, and it's called Unfinished Business Finished. So there's an interesting spiritual journey. So for me, as an 82-year-old person, I've always been a seeker of truth. So that's an interesting subject, seeker of truth. What does that really mean? It means, when I got my degree as a philosopher, I was told that you never stop seeking truth. And after 40, 50, 60 years, I find it's a valid statement. The truth is always out there and truth is always different. There's your truth, there's my truth, there's a collective truth, there's our truth, there's a truth they tell us is truth, and it goes on and on. So in Unfinished Business Finish, there's an opportunity once or twice a month, starting again in September, to get together with a small collection of people. It isn't as large as Peer Connections, where we could have as many as 10, 15, 20 people. It's by commitment. So people make a commitment to say, all right, I have some unfinished business in my life. So my unfinished business could vary from, I never finished school, or, I have unfinished business with a person in my life and that person has passed on, or the person moved away, or the person did something else. I can't find that person. So it gives us an opportunity to come together and talk about with others that unfinished business piece. As an example, 1977 in Portland, my son Andrew was killed in an accident going to school. He was 8.5 years old, 1977. So my unfinished business to start with in one area was the fact that I never mourned my son. I was the man in the family, so I was supposed to take care of everybody else, which I did. So about 2 years ago on a Friday, I came home from the university and went upstairs, and all of a sudden I sat down on the bed and the room started to spin around. I mean, gyrate around. And I thought I was having a heart attack. And then as I started to try to get some senses and I called my wife, I found that what I was doing is I was letting go of all this pressure inside that had been built up for like 40 years, pressure of unfelt needs that needed to be met for my own mourning. So that was a piece of my life. So in a matter of about a half hour, I started screaming and crying, and all this emotion came out. So then I fell asleep for about 3 hours, and when I got up again, I realized how much lighter I was. I was lighter in weight. I was lighter emotionally. I was just lighter that the fact that my body was able to relax. So that's a piece of what I went through. Some of the other stories were where a gentleman had shared a story about his wife dying in an unexpected way, and he never had a chance to say goodbye, as we have for other people. People go, we have had pets. How many times we have a pet that died, and instead of just going out and get another pet, as I've done, is to sit and still not mourn, but appreciate those years with a pet, or appreciate those years with special people, or appreciate the fact that, I'd like to go back someplace because I met some interesting people in another culture. And I lived, for example, in 1995, 96, I lived on the island of Jamaica for a year with Rastafarians. So I had the most wonderful time. Here I was, I eventually became a sort of tan-colored Rastafarian just by living in the culture and being accepted, because I just hung out. I danced, I sung. And people look in your eyes, they look in your heart. They don't look at skin color. It was a beautiful experience. So a lot of my life is beautiful experiences. I'm a veteran of the 1960s. So what was the 1960s? 1960s were a tremendous decade of love, free love, the women's movement, the men's movement, the Black Revolution. So for those of us that lived the 60s, there was a tremendous amount of learning that happened. Again, with unfinished business from the 60s. So whatever it has that's tickling your fancy, and I mean really tickling your fancy, you say, well, I haven't thought about this, but as I think about this issue, I'd like to finish it. So with a small group of caring, loving people, you have an opportunity to meet when it's your turn to share your story, to get support for it, and say, you know, I feel now that I've really accomplished that. The unfinished business became finished for me, and I can move on to other issues. So it's very unusual and very different from other pieces of life work. And it's important in our lifetimes to have completed work, because so many times in my work as a community gerontologist, I've been with elder adults who never had a chance to say goodbye, never had a chance to finish with people their unfinished business. And I decided a long time ago, I didn't want to be one of those people. So sometimes people don't want to hear unfinished business, but we do. We want to hear your unfinished business, and we'd like to help you finish your business. So that's a little bit what I, came to share with you. If you want some more additional information, you could go on www.une.edu and put down the center. It's called the C Center for Excellence, CEAH, Excellence in Aging and Health. And, sign up. You can sign up as a legacy scholar and you commit yourself for a year, and then you could do some research, with that. And it's a way to really, continue to explore. And we as older persons have the right to continue to explore ourselves, continue to discover new pieces of ourselves. Just because we're in our, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And my goal now is to make 103 with quality of life. Quality of life. And sometimes my quality of life is very different from what Kendra was saying about, following a certain kind of diet. Sometimes I decide, I'm getting off that diet today. And I'm just going to have more red wine. And isn't that wonderful? Because I feel so wonderful after an extra glass of red wine. And am I sick? Am I crazy? No, I feel wonderful because I'm listening to my inner self. So in this part for ourselves as older adults, we sometimes forget about what I call the aspects of ourselves, that we all have an inner village. And a long time ago, I discovered from the song Village People, the song, about the village. And I got in touch with my village people. And, I'll leave that to you to come discover with us the unfinished business finish. So we're here to help each of you who want to join us to become more familiar with yourself as we age, to recognize the fun pieces of ourselves, the piece that wants to put on some outrageous clothes. Like, Cynthia, I'm looking at your hat. Wonderful. Things like we just explore.
Joe, you only live once, and when I go, everyone's gonna know it.
It's beautiful. That's your legacy. You're leaving a legacy of what? Legacy of fun, of color,
Yes.
of joy. And we all need to do that in our own way. Each of us has our own style. And sometimes, because I go like this, societal messages, they tend to kind of want to put a cramp on our act. You should look a certain way, you should act a certain way. All of a sudden, again, like back in the 60s, they had long hair again. And I'm loving it. The only thing I chose not to do is go back and put an earring in my ear like I had in the 60s, but it's okay. I could do without the earring. But this is the fun part, being, they don't see us as outrageous sometimes. We need to be outrageous. I encourage boldness, being bold, being an athlete, showing society, younger people, that we have guts, we have determination, we have purpose, we have stories, and our stories are so incredible. And that's a lot what our center does. Our center provokes people to engage. It provokes people to feel safe with themselves. Here's a place to come in a center and share your stories and leave legacies and be able to be in a community where people are interested in knowing about us. That's so important. Cynthia,
Joe?
go ahead. You look like you.
Joe, I can't wait to tell you, I joined. The Kelly Abrams has been emailing me, and I've been
Wonderful.
doing the different classes in the Legacy Scholars, and it's been awesome.
Wonderful.
I will say I'm probably the most colorful one there, but
Excellent.
but you know,
Excellent.
I really love what you're saying tonight, Joe, and I just want to speak to that because that one of the reasons I joined is because everyone's always saying, "Oh my God, you don't look 61." That's great. I don't want to. I don't want to
Thank
look
you.
61, but I am. And what I'm trying to tell people is that you can do this at 61. You can dress like this. You can act like that. It doesn't have to change or stop. I'm going to be like this at 100.
I hope so. 'Cause I'm going to look for you at 100.
But it is it's inspirational to those that are coming up behind me.
Yes.
And I love the program that you guys are offering because I do want to leave a legacy. I'm all about that. I want people to know you only live once and you need to live. You need to live. And who cares? Who cares how you dress or how you act or what you do? As long as you are happy. If you don't like it, turn away. But thanks, Joe.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for saying it. That's my closing words. Cynthia,
There's a
you did
great
it.
ending, Joe.
Yeah,
That
it's
sort of
beautiful.
wraps it up for you.
This is-
Does anyone, thank you, Joe. Does anyone have other questions or comments for Joe about these programs? So we will share, we have recorded this. We'll share this on the website. So you can go
Please.
back and reference it on the Maine Senior Games website in the wellness section. Make sure that you get email addresses, websites for both of these presenters here tonight. So that if you choose to do more with either one of them, it's available to you.
Thank you so much, Joe. That was great.
Joe,
Yes,
great
go ahead.
presentation.
Thank you.
Great presentation.
Yes, thank you.
so much for having it. And
Thank
Cynthia,
you.
You and Carol, it's good to see you again.
And you'll be seeing me around, Joe, on the UNA
You
thing.
got it. You got it, Miss Cynthia.
Joe, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. I appreciate it
Pleasure.
very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
And
Bye.
thank you to everybody who
Bye.
joined us here tonight. And be on the lookout for what our next wellness event might be in maybe like 6 or 7 weeks.
Great.
So thank you, Arbor. Amy, thank you for bringing Kendra to us very much.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you all. Good night.
Glad you guys enjoyed
Good
it.
night.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye,
Thank
Joe.
you.
Good
Have a good
night.
Bye.
Bye.
Night.